My name is Mary, and at 29, I'm a homemaker. Sean and I have been married for 5 years, but we haven't had any children yet. I first met Sean through my dad's introduction. Sean used to work at a company that was a client of my dad's firm. Impressed by Sean's sales skills, my dad convinced him to join our company. As Sean and I spent more time together outside of work, my dad suggested that we should meet. I was immediately charmed by Sean, and after a peaceful courtship, we got married 5 years ago. Recently, things between Sean and me have been a bit rocky. I couldn't help but wonder if this was inevitable for a couple who had been together for so long. Despite the challenges, the thought of splitting up never crossed my mind, and I carried on with my daily routine. One day, after Sean came home from work, I gathered the courage to address the issue. Hey, we haven't been talking much lately, have we? We don't go out together as much as we used to. Let's take some time off and go on a trip. Maybe visit a place that holds memories for us or try out a nice restaurant. I'm sorry, I just don't have the bandwidth for that, Sean replied dismissively before heading to bed. I couldn't shake off the feeling of disappointment. Was this really how it was supposed to be after 5 years together? I thought. As time passed, Sean started to drift away due to work stress and personal frustrations, and our relationship grew colder. Despite being aware of the issue, I struggled to find a solution. Then, out of the blue, Sean made a surprising suggestion. How about we move to a new place? I was honestly shocked but also hopeful that a change of environment might improve our relationship. Yeah, I've always wanted to be closer to work. This apartment is too small if we ever plan to have a baby, and the supermarket and school are too far away. You really thought that much for us? I asked, touched by his consideration. Of course, that's why I've been working so hard. Thank you. Let's start looking for a place right away, Sean replied with a smile. His words touched my heart, and knowing that he had considered our future together filled me with joy. The next day, we began the search for our dream home. As we prepared to move, Sean and I found our conversations becoming more lively, almost like when we first started dating. We discussed furniture and appliances for our new home, sharing our interests and thoughts. Sean was passionate about choosing a sofa for the living room, emphasizing both comfort and style, while I focused on creating a functional and easy-to-maintain kitchen. Through these exchanges, our bond grew stronger, paving the way for a fresh start in our new home. As we delved into selecting furniture and appliances for our new home, it felt like more than just shopping. Each item symbolized a return to the happier times we shared when we first met, deepening our understanding of each other's lifestyles and values. But that happiness was short-lived. One calm evening, Sean dropped a bombshell while we were relaxing in the living room. Listen, I've decided to live here with my mistress and our love child, he announced suddenly, leaving me in shock. Are you listening? Just give me a week, and then you need to leave because I'm going to live here with my mistress and our child. He continued, his words freezing my heart, leaving me speechless. Wait just a minute. What do you mean? I don't understand. Explain this to me. I managed to stammer out, struggling to comprehend the sudden revelation. Sean confessed that he had met his mistress at his workplace, where she was working part-time. Their relationship had blossomed over the past 2 years, evolving from mere work colleagues to something more intimate. He then recounted a conversation from 2 years ago, where his mistress had revealed she was pregnant with his child. I've been thinking maybe we need a bigger place, she had said, expressing her desire for their child to grow up in a more spacious environment. I see. Can you give me a moment to think about it? Sean had responded at the time. But now, faced with the reality of his decision to prioritize his mistress over our marriage, I couldn't help but feel a sense of betrayal and disbelief. We're getting a divorce, Sean declared matter-of-factly. We're going to the city hall. What? What are you talking about? I exclaimed, struggling to process the sudden turn of events. Wasn't the plan that we'd live here together? We even picked out furniture together. It was never about you, Sean retorted coldly. I moved here to live with my mistress and our love child. So please, could you move out as soon as possible? But can't you think it over? Can't we talk about this? I pleaded, desperately clinging to the hope of salvaging our relationship. I've thought it over, and the decision is to prioritize my mistress, Sean replied firmly. She's more reliable, good at her job, and importantly, young and beautiful unlike you. So please understand, I'm not up for a lengthy discussion. This is it. There's nothing more to talk about. As Sean's callous words sank in, I struggled to comprehend his calm explanation, grappling with the harsh reality of our shattered marriage and the impending end of our life together. As I struggled to process the whirlwind of emotions swirling inside me, the reality of our shattered dreams hit me hard. We were supposed to live happily together in our new home, yet here I was faced with the harsh truth that Sean had a mistress and even a child on the side. And now I had to leave within a week. Hey, are you even listening? Sean's voice pierced through my thoughts, his tone tinged with impatience. Can you leave this place? I've already told my mistress she can move in, so it's going to be a problem if you're not out within a week. I tried to speak, to defend myself against his accusations, but his words continued to sting. I know it's going to be tough, but please do your best. It's partly your fault for not satisfying me as a woman, you know. Understand that. His blame cut deep, each word a painful reminder of my supposed shortcomings. But man, I was surprised you never caught on about me and my mistress, he added, his tone dripping with disdain. You should really try harder with the next guy you're with. You were just so boring. My mind raced, trying to find a way to respond, but his accusations left me speechless. Well, I was busy with housework and stuff, I finally managed to say, my voice trembling with indignation. That's just an excuse, Sean retorted, his frustration palpable. You being boring put stress on me, affecting my work. A woman needs to satisfy her man, or it impacts his job. Success at work depends on happiness at home. Remember that. His words felt like a punch to the gut, each one a painful reminder of my perceived failure as a wife. That's so unfair, I protested weakly, struggling to hold back tears. I know I'm supposed to make you happy as your wife, but blaming everything on me just because you're bored is not fair. Your boredom is your own issue. No matter how much I try, if you can't find joy in yourself, there's nothing I can do. I'm trying my hardest too. But Sean's response was swift and cutting. It's so unfair to be told this. Whoa, what getting mad at me? Give me a break, he scoffed, his frustration boiling over. This right here is exactly the problem. I'm the one who's been earning the money, the house, the car. Everything was bought with my earnings. You've been able to live your life thanks to me. I want you to at least be grateful for that. His words hung in the air, a bitter reminder of the power dynamics at play in our relationship. As our argument escalated, it moved further away from the original point, leaving me feeling defeated and lost in a sea of resentment and pain. All right, I'll leave, I muttered, my voice barely above a whisper. Good, you're a reasonable woman, Sean replied, seemingly unfazed. Overwhelmed by despair and betrayal, I managed to drag myself away from the scene of this nightmare, feeling like my heart was being crushed under the weight of it all. Unable to talk to anyone about it, I spent 2 days and nights lost in thought at a manga cafe. Determined to get my revenge, an idea suddenly struck me. 3 days later, as I prepared to leave, Sean approached me. Hey, you're actually leaving? He asked, his tone betraying a hint of relief. Yes, lucky me. That's a relief. I'll tell my mistress she can move in tomorrow, I replied, trying to keep my voice steady despite the storm raging inside me. As I turned to leave, the doorbell rang, breaking the tense silence. Huh, who was that? Sean muttered, annoyance evident in his voice. Could you get that, please? He added, almost as an afterthought. Get it yourself, please, I retorted, my frustration boiling over. Well, since you're leaving today anyway, Sean grumbled as he made his way to the door. As he opened it, his expression changed from annoyance to confusion, then shock. There, standing before him, was an elderly man beside a luxury foreign car. Oh, what do you want? Sean asked, his voice betraying his bewilderment. Are you Mary's husband? The old man inquired, his tone stern but dignified. Yeah, well, that's me. But who are you? Sean replied, confusion evident in his voice. Here, take this, the old man said, thrusting a set of papers towards Sean. What is this? Sean asked, his confusion growing by the second. A divorce paper and a resignation letter. Sign it right now, the old man commanded, his gaze steely. Huh? Wait, who are you? What's this all about? Sean stammered, his mind racing to make sense of the situation. Don't you understand why you need to write a resignation letter? The old man's voice was stern, leaving no room for argument. Wait, Grandpa, thank you for coming today, I interjected, rushing to Sean's side. Grandpa? Sean exclaimed, his eyes widening in disbelief. Oh, let me introduce him. This is my grandfather, Ken Black, I explained, trying to maintain my composure. Ken Black? As in? Sean trailed off, realization dawning on him. Yes, the chairman of your company, I confirmed, feeling a sense of satisfaction at Sean's dawning comprehension. Wait, please. You're saying my company's chairman is Mary's grandpa? Sean's voice wavered, disbelief evident in his tone. That's what I'm saying. But I guess you wouldn't know, since we have different last names, I explained, feeling a sense of vindication. My husband had been unaware of my grandfather's existence, only my father, who had introduced him to the company. And I knew about this. Do you understand what you've done to my dearest granddaughter? My grandfather's voice boomed, his disappointment palpable. No, it's not like that. Not like that. Sean protested weakly, his voice faltering under my grandfather's stern gaze. I've heard everything from Mary, my grandfather continued, his tone unwavering. Funny, Grandpa. I mean, Mr. Chairman, I interjected, trying to lighten the tension. Sean held the pen over the 2 documents he had been forcibly handed by my grandfather, his hand trembling with uncertainty. Once you're finished writing, we're going to part ways, my grandfather declared firmly. Wait, Mary, there's more I need to say, Sean pleaded, desperation evident in his voice. I thought you wanted me to leave quickly, didn't you? I stood beside my husband as he wrote his resignation letter, never meeting his eyes and maintaining a cold demeanor towards him. He paused in his writing, letting out a deep sigh. His heart was filled with conflict, but he was also acutely aware of the depth of his wrongdoings. I had to struggle not to burst out laughing, I thought to myself, feeling a mixture of amusement and disgust. Sorry, I couldn't help it, Mary. I'm truly, truly sorry. Please, think it over. I take back what I said before. I don't love my mistress. It's you I love. You feel the same, right? You still love me, don't you? Sean pleaded desperately, his words tinged with desperation. Gross. There's no way I could ever love you, I retorted coldly. It's over. The fact that you even had an affair, and then a child on top of that, unforgivable. There's no way I could ever love someone like that. Not in a million years. So what if I call my mistress right now and break it off with her? Would you stay with me then? Sean asked, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. No. You don't have to break up with her. I don't plan on being with you anyway, I replied firmly. I can't understand how you thought you could do something this terrible and still be loved. How did you even get to that point in your thinking? After a moment of silence, Sean's demeanor suddenly changed. What if I take the initiative? You'll be the one to take the fall. Don't play with me, woman. Who would like a pompous woman like you? He spat, his tone turning venomous. I thought she was cute at first, but as we lived together, she nagged. Her cooking was mediocre. Her stories were boring. You should be thankful that you've lived with someone like me for 5 years. You should get out of this house right now. My mistress is many times better than you. Just a moment ago, he was begging not to break up, and now he was throwing a tantrum because I refused to agree to his demands. He probably thought I'd be scared and back down, but with my grandfather by my side and my confidence in my own abilities, I knew I could stand my ground. I've trained in martial arts, and my grandfather always instilled in me the importance of never letting anyone underestimate me because I'm a woman. Be strong, he'd say, always be able to protect yourself. You're seriously messed up. Your emotions flip too quickly, don't they? It's amazing you even managed to find a mistress, I retorted, my anger simmering beneath the surface. Oh right, you're good at lying. I got fooled by that too. I continued, my voice dripping with scorn. And I've done some dating. You've been pretending to be single to your mistress, huh? How? How do you know that? Sean stammered, disbelief evident in his voice. Idiot. Like I said earlier, my grandpa is the chairman of your company. I asked Grandpa to look into Mia, your mistress, I explained, feeling a sense of satisfaction. Well done, my granddaughter. You don't back down, my grandfather praised, his tone filled with pride. When we looked into it, all sorts of things came up. Despite being with Mary, you were getting cozy with Miss Sue at our company. And there were issues with married women. I was so embarrassed when I found out an employee of my company was doing this. I wondered why I hadn't fired him sooner, my grandfather continued, his disappointment evident. It's actually funny to think I was married to such a husband. I'm ashamed. What happens next depends on the mistress's move. Actually, she's going to be here soon. I already called her using your phone when you were in the bathroom, I announced, a sense of anticipation building inside me. Just then, the doorbell rang again. With excitement, I opened the front door to reveal my husband's mistress and their child, both stunned to see me. "Oh, wrong place," the mistress muttered, starting to turn away. "Not wrong, not wrong. Nice to meet you," I intervened, stopping her from leaving. "Hello, is this Scene's house, right? We've been waiting. Come in, come in. Grandpa, can you take care of this kid in the other room? You mind if I speak to you?" I asked, turning to my grandfather. "Oh, really? Okay then," my grandfather replied, ushering the child away. "We were married, Mia. The mistress. Did you know that?" I questioned, my tone firm. "Oh, well, yes. Now that it's out, can't you just speak plainly?" Mia responded, a hint of defensiveness in her voice. I'm sorry, but I mean it's not like it's my fault," Mia continued, her words grating on my nerves. "Can you stop that annoying way of speaking? Just listening to it is irritating," I snapped, unable to contain my frustration. "I'm sorry, you two were in an affair, right? I don't know who seduced whom, but you were both in that relationship. I think you both share the blame," I interjected, addressing both Sean and the mistress. "I'm sorry, who are you?" The mistress looked puzzled, glancing at my grandfather. "Oh, I didn't mention it, or you didn't know either. He's the chairman of the company you work for, my grandpa," I explained, gesturing towards my grandfather. "What? What does that mean, Scene? Did you know?" Sean's expression mirrored his confusion. "How would I know? I just found out too. It's a bit embarrassing not to be recognized, but it gives me a certain shyness," my grandfather replied sheepishly. "And you two being in an affair before the divorce was something I knew about. We've got evidence. Grandpa, could you show them?" I requested. "Got it," my grandfather responded, pulling out photos from an envelope. "Wow, what's this? Pictures of you entering and leaving a hotel? It's clear from these that you're more than just colleagues. It's going to be a problem for a married person to have these exposed," I remarked loudly and sarcastically. "What's this? Voyeurism? That's a crime." "What? I stop it. There's a child next door." "Shut up, Scene. Just be quiet. Hey, you're married and you make a child with another woman. Are you okay with such a despicable man?" My anger bubbled over, directed at Sean. "Let me teach you something, young lady. It's not just because you're attractive. Of course that's part of it, but such women only compete with their looks, their appearance. They're empty inside. Their only asset is their youth, which is quite pitiful. I've seen a few women like that, after all. Young women are a dime a dozen in this world. Losing their only asset and ending up with nothing is truly pitiful." My grandfather's voice was stern, his words cutting through the tension. "I'm sorry, Mia. It must be a hassle, but don't worry. We'll quickly cut ties with these people, and then you can live here with us," I offered, trying to extend an olive branch to the mistress. "Yes, sorry to interrupt your little moment, but do you think you can live here, Scene? What do you mean? Which is it? What are you talking about?" I turned to Sean, confusion evident in my voice. "Don't you know? You had me sign the contract 5 years ago. Back then, you've had no savings, right? It was strange, but now I get it. You were spending all your money on Mia. This place has a good location, it's new, and it has a beautiful view," I explained, my tone heavy with disappointment. "I signed the contract for this house, so I'm not planning to give it up, Sean. If we can't live here, where will we go? My place is a 1-room and too small. I've already told the landlord we're not renewing. What about Sean Jr.? Oh dear, looks like both of you are going to be homeless. That's terrible. I'm not that kind, so please leave within a week." "That's a bit of a problem for us," Sean replied weakly. "Oh really?" I retorted, my frustration growing. Saying that to others, maybe now you're starting to understand a little bit of how I felt back then. Hey, what about us? What's going to happen? Of course we'll continue, or not. It doesn't matter, Sean shrugged indifferently. But Mia, are you really okay with this guy? A big liar who's about to lose both his job and place to live. I turned to the mistress, my voice tinged with disbelief. What do you mean, lose his job? Sean interjected hastily. Hey, don't say any more, Mia urged, a hint of panic in her voice. It doesn't matter to me, so I'll say it. It's going to come out eventually anyway. As I said before, the chairman of his company is my grandpa, and my dad introduced him to his current job. So he's been able to work there thanks to my grandpa and dad. Since he's treated me this way and we're breaking up, I have no obligation to him anymore. I'm thinking of getting him fired. That's why he'll be jobless. And of course, since you work in the same place, it's possible for you to be fired too. Get it? Both of you will be jobless. Don't drag her into this. She's also at fault. Normally, if you hear someone's in a relationship, you back off. How dreamy can you get? It's ultimately your fault. You need to take responsibility, Sean protested, desperation evident in his voice. Please, it's tough to be fired from the company. Now there's Sean Jr. and the house and our savings. Please just wait. Give me another 3 months, Sean pleaded, his voice trembling with emotion. It's impossible all of a sudden. At least until we can secure a place to live, I added, trying to reason with him. It's too late. I can't just leave my granddaughter like this. Go and rely on your own parents. Tell them you've had a child out of wedlock. Hurry up, your baby's crying too, my grandfather urged, his tone firm. Sean picked up the pen again and began to write on the resignation letter. In the solemn atmosphere, Mia also wrote her resignation letter, tears streaming down her face. Exhausted from the emotional turmoil, I let out a deep sigh once Sean and Mia handed their resignation letters to my grandfather. Without uttering a word, my grandfather scrutinized the contents of the letters under his stern gaze. Meanwhile, my husband accepted responsibility for his actions, facing the consequences head-on without attempting to evade them. I observed the intense interaction between my grandfather and husband, feeling a mix of relief and sadness. And don't forget the divorce papers I asked for, I reminded them, my voice tinged with bitterness. I got it. And you know about the alimony, right? I added, trying to suppress the pain of betrayal and deceit. $660,000, I heard the figure, causing a sharp pang in my heart. You're really terrible, I muttered, feeling the weight of the situation. Better than you, my husband retorted, his voice choked with tears as he signed the alimony agreement. Once everything was settled on paper, they left the room hastily, carrying little baby Jan with them. As they departed through the front door, heads hung low, I couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh. Grandpa, thank you so much for coming all this way. Even though you're busy, I expressed my gratitude, feeling a sense of relief wash over me. It's nothing. Leave it to me. This is exactly when you need a grandpa, my grandfather reassured me, his eyes filled with understanding. But your son brought home quite the trouble. I guess I have to punish him too, he added, a hint of disappointment in his voice. Yeah, Dad needs to be punished too, I agreed, feeling a sense of closure. I'll tell Mom. Next time, I'll find a husband candidate for Mary myself, I promised, determination shining in my eyes. That sounds good. I trust you to find someone reliable, my grandfather nodded approvingly. And so the matter was resolved. My ex-husband's hopes for a new life with his mistress were shattered by the strain of alimony payments on his finances and the deterioration of his relationship with her. Turning to his parents for support, he found himself alone to face the consequences of his actions, grappling with the difficulties of taking responsibility and building a relationship with his secret son John. On the other hand, thanks to my grandfather's support, I embarked on a new path. The alimony became a stepping stone toward a brighter future, and I succeeded in pursuing my own happiness despite the pain caused by my husband's unfaithfulness. It became a valuable experience that made me stronger and more resilient. Cherishing the support from those around me, I forged new connections and built a new community to pursue my happiness. Over time, I healed from the wounds of the past and emerged as a stronger, more mature person.